Welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting for the Village of Somerset. Today is Monday, February 10th at 5 p.m. Present in the hall today is myself, Chris Duback.
Right, Chris Marino.
So why don't we go ahead and review the January 13th minutes?
I'll let you review them. I'll look for.
Have you had a chance to read them?
I did read them, but I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't know if they're accurate or not. So
Sure.
I watched the meeting, but did I? I think so, yeah.
Make a motion to receive the minutes.
I will second that motion. I believe we would be approving our own minutes, if I remember correctly.
Or approved, sure.
Okay. Yes, excellent meeting minutes, Gina, thank you. So I'll second that motion, and any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So now we have public comment on agenda items, 2 minutes per person, 14 minutes per topic. And you're free to speak here, or you could wait until your issue comes up. Oh, there's right. Okay. And is there any public comment online? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment.
Can I comment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I figured you would want to speak at the next meeting.
Well,
It's on here too, so.
this has got to do with the next meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess the big thing is it's kind of, for me and for Live Nation, this is kind of a waste of time meeting because we went through 2 public safety meetings to get everything approved, all the different wordage and everything.
Right.
And then went, and I was told that night, you probably don't even need to come to the meeting because it's gonna get approved. Then they have a meeting, it gets tabled at the meeting because they want to change something else that's on the ICUP.
Correct.
That's, you can't do that.
And unfortunately, this has not been a linear process, and I apologize for that. I wish those issues had been brought up before us. But after I had received them, after we made our recommendation, we received additional information. So I felt I had to,
But
to table it to at least give.
isn't that what the public safety meetings are for? That they should have been at the public safety meetings and not to bring it up, bring something else up at the village board meeting? Because to me, that's a waste of time.
That would've been
95% of the time, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
That's just something super extraordinary,
Unusual.
yeah.
Right, and I do
Your
apologize.
stuff that should run through the committee processes. You're correct, EJ, and I can't speak to what the issue is that they want to change.
The issue is changing the times for if we have a rehearsal. And one of the things is, I can't go on Facebook and say, hey, Village of Somerset, we're having a rehearsal here for Metallica 2 days before the show. Can you imagine what that's gonna be like? So I can't do that. I can say, there's a rehearsal or something, but I will not put nothing in writing that says that.
Right, but as you and I have discussed, you will be including those type of incidents as an event date, and then you will notify the village of that.
We're not putting it in the ICUP, we can't.
No, it would be already, because it's considered an event. So you, like you had mentioned, you have concerts, and if you need a special schedule for a rehearsal, it's going to be approved by this.
Yeah, but
by this
how is that
committee.
gonna work when there's no people involved? Because it's
Well,
10,000 people, 20,000 people, that's part of the ICUP.
Right,
Now, this ICUP is part of the lease at the amphitheater
right,
that Matt made with Live Nation. And if we're changing that lease, the wordage on the ICUP, the only words we're changing on the ICUP is to make billing way easier
correct,
than what it was.
correct, yeah.
And
yeah,
nothing else
I
should
see
be
that
touched.
here,
It's
there's
gotta
made
be-
now.
It's gotta be mutually agreed upon.
Exactly.
We're not gonna mutually agree upon it.
Well,
or it's gonna screw up the lease.
Yeah, I don't think we need to change the ICP personally, as far as that goes, because that would be just considered one of your smaller events, and you have 25 a year.
That's what you brought up this year, sorry. This issue came up over the summer about the sound check days.
Yeah.
And, you have X number of days, it's fine, we'll just count those as one of our many extra.
That's what we said
and
before, let's just count it as a
legally,
day,
there's-
but it's never, we're never
that's-
gonna fall in that.
Legally, that you're, in my opinion, that is within
Yeah.
the allowance of the permit to count that as such.
But I heard they wanted to change the times on it, all
I
that
understand.
stuff.
I don't know the particulars of that, so I can't speak to any of
Yeah.
that.
It's been suggested. I don't think we need to do anything as a committee. I think that this does need to come before the full board. We've already made our recommendation. Did you want to change anything?
My suggestion is gonna be, if they make those tonight, is that we put Live Nation on notice that that is something they're considering, and let's have proper time to talk about it for next year, not
That's what I brought up.
It makes more sense,
We
yeah.
can't
not
do this
change this.
midstream because
Right
we
before
need to
season
know a year in
starts.
advance. I mean, we released one concert today.
Yeah.
We're waiting to release a second concert right now.
It isn't fair to a business to spring a last minute major change to their operating. This is just my personal opinion, regardless whether this was concerts or something. Make some major legislative change to a business at the last minute.
Yep.
And again, unless it was something that is super extraordinary that had help, public health or safety reasons.
Yeah, I mean, if we did something wrong and it has to be addressed and changed, there's an issue.
Right. Not in this case at all, no.
So that's what it is gonna be brought up tonight. I'm just my suggestion to those board members is say, okay, you brought it up. I would recommend it's now been forwarded to the Public Safety Committee for the 2025-2026 renewal. That's what I'm gonna say,
Yes.
Got it?
depending on what's said.
Yeah.
And I think,
Based on what I know now, so I just wanted to.
right.
Yeah, and that was a weird circumstance. That's
Well,
probably,
I think we
that's
all,
probably never gonna happen ever again.
I think we all thought, because we had to change the December meeting to accommodate the chief's schedule, because it didn't get approved in December and got approved, was gonna plan to be approved in January. We thought we had this wording change that was not accurate in terms of
When does it have to be approved by the ICP?
Typically January. is what we
January?
prefer.
Yeah.
I don't.
process. Yeah, I don't.
I almost like it before that.
It's not always been consistent, unfortunately.
No.
I was trying to get it back on track. So, but of course, because this is a decision for our whole board, we will need to go before the whole board and talk about.
And we
this
can
again.
bring that up next year too, about changing it to maybe December or November and.
The process starts in November
Right.
at Public
Yeah.
Safety, and
Yeah.
that gives plenty of notice if there's some big issue, at least that there's going to be a protracted process,
Correct.
or not. I'm just. That allows Live Nation to respond appropriately and not just, leave it up to you to be the carrier of the water for.
Got it.
That's my opinion, again, unknowing what other board members are seeking, so.
We'll discuss that soon then.
But, seeing it in print, this discussion we did discuss in January, what's been struck out, and, I think now reflects what we were trying to resolve. So, good job, Kennedy.
And
Andrea.
you're great with that.
Thank you.
I think it's better to be in compliance with actual practice rather than, even if it's, so that's what looks like we're achieving here, so. It's more of an administrative change, nothing substantial to the agreement, so.
So yes, if it's possible, if you could stick around for the next discussion, that would be a good thing. We'd appreciate it.
Yes.
We will probably re-recommend it as presented to the board. special meeting?
That's a good question. It's because we tabled it. That's a good question.
Did they table it back to public safety?
Yes.
So I would make another recommendation then.
I will make a motion to recommend approval of the ICUP for Live Nation and Summer Star LLC with the noted change in 7G.
Chris Marino, second.
First and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you for your comments, EJ. We appreciate it. Okay, so next we have discussion, possible recommendation, establish a smokes shop ordinance. So, upon recommendation from the chief, it sounds like we wanted to be proactive and get something on the books. And we have an owner here. Would you like to speak?
Sure, yeah, John Reeder, I own the Village Bay, 345 Garfield Street.
The old treadmill, that's fine.
You got it, yeah.
Sorry, my aunt and uncle great aunt and uncle used to own the treadmill, so I
Sure,
have to
Yep.
relate in my head.
Association.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, you got it. So yeah, we kind of offered, some tweaks last time and, basically looking at the, adjusted ordinance proposal, B and C. Looks like you guys, made those changes, 1,300 feet, and then the one location for 1,500, so we appreciate that and, don't have any issues with that. We kind of just wanted to circle back on another item that we had mentioned last time was the premium cigar differentiation.
Right.
So we feel like that there should be another license for that.
Like a classification, so like maybe if smoke shops are like a class A and then maybe they've got a tobacco license class B for just cigar shops. That way there's no gray area. If someone decides later down the road, they just wanna change their mind and they're able to switch everything out without any
I
approval.
see.
Yeah,
Sure.
just so there's no gray areas at all.
I believe that's covered under Wisconsin statute.
I appreciate your comment. Can I just take a step back and add?
Sure, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
How did we get to this point?
We started with Hudson's ordinance.
Okay.
Chief Kupchak recommended that we start looking
Okay.
at them.
Was there a reason he brought it forward? Is
Just
Joel
to-
on? No.
Yeah, looks like it.
Joel, are you able to speak on this?
Yeah, it was brought up in our chiefs group. Sounds like some other municipalities are thinking about doing that as well in St. Croix County. And thought we'd get ahead of the curve.
So this is something that's occurred in other communities. Okay. I just was wondering where the impetus came. I'm all for safety regulation,
Yeah,
but I just don't like
That
to
they were
see,
saying
it's
that,
like to see making laws for the sake of making laws is
I
what,
think they were worried about having 100 vape shops too.
well,
In such a small community, yeah. Did you have a chance to review the?
yeah, I did. Again, I was kind of more curious in the genesis
history
of,
of it? Sure.
so.
Right.
I didn't talk to your business, but I did talk to the other business in town and, and got their feedback on it, the ordinance as written, they didn't have a significant problem. I did make some comments about the cigar concept, if there's a different way for that to be written. What that should be, I don't know. Maybe we need to make some, more time to figure that out or figure how that's compared to in our tobacco law, the tobacco laws,
Okay.
even that if it should be referenced here versus, or it should just be cigars should be referenced towards the tobacco license. I'm just spitballing ideas here
Right.
so trying to make this as clean as possible. And if cigars are regulated under tobacco,
There.
then we should just reference that as that section of the ordinance or state statutes. rather than trying to come up with a new hybrid ordinance.
Sure.
I've seen what Frankenstein ordinances get to be, you know, 20 years later, no one knows what the heck does this mean?
Right, we want it to be as clear as possible, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think our concern was just the, you know, potential for, like, let's say, a tobacco, you know, cigar focused shop goes downtown and then they decide, well, this isn't selling as, you know, well as it could, so we're gonna add vapes in. And then, like, how do you know that the sales of the vapes are gonna be under 25% of the total revenue? Like, who's gonna go in there and say like, oh, this is, I'm gonna audit your books now, like, who's gonna do that, you know? So-
We would, I don't think we would have the authority. We'd have to
Right,
engage the state to,
Well, and I
Not
think
that.
my interpretation of the state law is that licensing is now up to each municipality, so that's why I was proposing like different
Right.
class licenses, you know, like they do a driver's license or a liquor
but it's
licenses.
it's a hybrid enforcement, you know,
Mhm.
because some of it falls into the state tobacco, you know,
Mhm.
side of things. John, do you have any familiarity with this at all, or Joel?
Tobacco licensing, no.
Okay,
Typically, the contacts of the APLC that helps out there if I had a question. They need to be answered immediately.
so I guess I'd like to do more research on that before we move forward
Okay.
with this. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
You know, whether we include it here or not, you know, I just understand that part better before we include it in here or not, the cigar portion.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm walking through a hallway, but can you repeat the question you're trying to get answered? Ryan, I couldn't hear you.
Joel, the question is, you know, including cigar sales and et cetera. You know, how do we enforce that? You know, it's partial enforcement with us, but partial enforcement by the state. Are we overlapping ordinances, overlapping state law? Just trying to get clarity on this and I just need to understand it, that part of what's being proposed. The vape language overall, I get. You know, I can get into a big debate of whether, you know, we should be setting restrictions and this and that. That's another philosophical discussion, but I just don't want to be having ordinances that contradict each other or are not clear when we have tobacco ordinances or state statutes that would potentially conflict with this
Right.
section.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
right. And my understanding is municipalities can be more restrictive.
Sure.
So that's something that we could certainly look at if you want.
Like I said, I'm not looking to be more restrictive. I'm just looking to be more clear.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like this is more of a licensing ordinance, so it'd be like at the onset of a business kind of coming into town, asking for like the equivalent to a liquor license. You know, that would be the time where it would be kind of determined whether or not, or what kind of business they're operating. And I guess the question would be like, well, what are we doing now if somebody comes in and starts selling liquor without a liquor license? Right? Is that kind of the equivalent that we're,
Kind of that, but it's commingling cigar sales with vape.
And they're two different things.
Two different things. I'm just trying to draw clarity in the ordinance, you know, as we flush it out. That's I guess where I'm at. And I apologize, I should have read our fantastic tobacco ordinances, but I would have fallen asleep
That's quite
right
long,
away.
yeah.
So, I apologize, I should have read that ahead of time, but that's where I'm at. I'm just want to make sure we're clear and not creating.
We don't want to contradict ourselves.
Yes,
either. Sure.
so-
Mhm.
I guess I'm not opposed to it. Again, I somewhat have issues with resetting restrictions, but that's neither here nor there. The overall idea I get and I can support, but, I guess between now and next month, I think we should review where it sits with the our tobacco law ordinances and or state statutes. And then B, does it belong here, and then C, do we establish something along the lines of what you suggested, where there's two types of license here, a smoke shop and a cigar license. And again, I don't know how that relates to what the tobacco licensing is, et cetera, so.
Ultimately, the concern is just using the premium cigar separation from the smoke shop definition as a loophole to eventually sell.
I get that, yeah. If we're gonna have a vape, we don't wanna legally create a backdoor
Yeah,
that, especially then when we're setting restrictions on the number of businesses and where they can be. We've taken a stand and saying, this is how many there could be and where they can be,
right.
but then allow someone to find a loophole, and
Yeah,
that's what, that's all the unintended consequences that could come out of something written the way this currently is.
Okay,
That's, if I'm making myself clear.
would you like to table it?
I will make a motion to table, and while we do more research to the March 2025 meeting, which I can't believe it's already could be.
Yeah.
getting close.
My only thought is just maybe since this was taken originally from Hudson, maybe getting a hold of Hudson and seeing how they differentiate and maybe going from there.
We can, look online at a bunch of other ordinances
Yeah,
we have access to. There's two major websites that host most of the state's municipality web ordinances.
okay,
Doesn't take too much to search those, so I'd be willing to do some of that research and try to get back to the committee, what I find through the clerk. But the first week or so of
Right.
March, we like target, no promises.
Okay,
So
table to March, public safety?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a first, do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Great, any other further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And aye.
sorry, I was assumed sorry.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so we will table that to the next meeting.
Thank you for
For a
coming.
little more
Yeah,
research.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
It's nice to put a business
Yeah.
faces with the business, so
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
your comments.
I still find it, like I say, I grew up, my Aunt Levon and Uncle Jim ran the treadmill since it was the treadmill.
yeah,
Yeah,
So to see it as a smoke shop as a
part of it.
complete athletic store to,
Repurpose.
anyways, but at least the building is being used and not being vacant.
Right,
So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
and so,
that's what we hear, yeah.
happy to be there, for sure. Great, awesome, thank you guys.
Great, thank you. Okay, so on to new business, discussion possible recommendation, agent name change, WPG WI LLC at 419 Main Street. So my understanding is this is just a simple change of agent.
We'll check this.
Yeah, I did the standard background check and everything checked out.
Okay,
I've always wanted to order one of these secure stamps for
Redemption.
for throwing stuff away.
so we'll just make a motion to approve recommended agent change?
Recommended the agent listed under Part B. I'm not going to attempt. I do not want to butcher
It's
the
a
name.
different thing, yeah. Okay, Chris, is that a motion? You said it quite clear.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will second that.
Okay. We have a first and a second, further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just-
Maybe-
I know but it has a Green Bay address. I know we have many agents that don't necessarily live in the area. Just is part of a larger chain.
BP,
Oh, that's what,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, BP to go, I think is the name of it.
That would explain it, so.
Exactly right. All right. So we'll recommend that to the full board.
So they must have one agent that's responsible for most of the stores statewide, I'm assuming.
Yes, and someone just left and
Yeah.
we need to change the name.
Yeah.
Okay, municipal court budget report.
It's hard to tell when it's February and
The only thing to note would be the large tips payment, but that's an annual subscription.
Yeah.
So that is totally to be expected.
yeah, that's their software.
Mhm.
Yeah, those contracts come to it certain times of year and it looks out of whack, but
Any other observations or comments? So then we can move on to the budget comparison for the police report.
Nothing stuck out to me.
it's a smaller percentage again, you know. The difference, like you said, is they had their software contract come due in court, so this is probably more in line with for spent for, you know, the month of January.
Right, this time of year.
I have no concerns that I can see of.
All right. So now the police chief report.
Joel, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Do you have a brief report you want to provide? Understanding you're remote tonight, so.
Yeah, the calls for service should be attached.
Yep, it is.
Okay, I didn't have time to do the graph for this one.
That's okay.
But let's see. I just have some notes for the activities from this past month. And so myself, Officer Kerber, our SRO, and Officer Weisky went to an alert training. It's a active threat training up in Superior. That was on the 6th and 7th. Our SRO and Lieutenant Farrell went to a sex assault best practice training. We also went to a CPS training. It was kind of a joint training between CPS and law enforcement. We'd ended up doing a mutual aid event where we provided some coverage for Menominee PD on the weekend of January 12th, along with other area municipalities. So their officers could attend a funeral. We're still navigating some military leave stuff, which there was, I think, at least a week in January. And we're also still navigating our transition to CIT for our IT services, which has been going well. That's all I got.
Okay. Okay, and it looks like we had 150 calls for service this month.
Yep.
Any comments or questions?
I have no.
None myself. Thanks, Joel.
Yes, thank you. Too busy. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and move on to the police and court bills?
Didn't have any questions.
Again, I get back when I looked at it.
Joel, I'm still learning. Could you tell me what is the gray key service?
So yeah, Gray Key is new. It's an agreement that we have with St. Clair County Sheriff's Office. It was entered in by all municipalities within St. Croix County. It's a device that's used to do forensic downloads of cell phones for evidentiary purposes. Previously, we'd have to go to DCI, Department of Criminal Investigations. Sometimes Woodbury PD would be able to help us. But this is more of a kind of a centralized solution. For example, our last phone that we sent to DCI took over 2 years to get the extraction back, which is simply unacceptable. And I had a phone this past week that I got back within 2 days from St. Croix County. So
Yeah, St. Croix County has always had a kind of their own, been ahead of the times with the digital. I mean, when I was at the University of Wisconsin, my role was overseeing confidential data stuff with the campus police and issues like that. So I sat down with, at that time with Sean Demling and the folks at St. Croix, and you know, the tools they had
yeah,
9 years ago, 9 years ago. You know, so they've tried to, you know, and with the enhancements in the, with their expansion that they have, and then with their additional public safety referendum monies, they're able to do this, and especially with municipalities coming on board to be part of it, they're able to, you know, buy some additional software. I'm probably speaking to what you're saying, Joel.
yeah. And Gray Key is a step up from Celebrite, which is what their legacy system was.
Yeah.
And it provides much more capability, but it's going to be nice to have something close to home.
That's lovely. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that was the only question I had.
It's nice to be, you know, with our same, you know, we see the header of St. Croix County Sheriff's Office on our report, you know, all being under the same software systems and sharing in agreements with the county. You know, the whole idea is to build better relationships, but also get a better bang for the buck for all the municipalities in the county. So I'm glad to see that is happening, which is a difference from past practice.
That's great. Yeah,
So-
consistency, time saving as well, I
Yeah.
imagine.
So
Great.
I'm glad to see we're doing that, Joel, John, you know, that's occurring, because that's a shift for this department, and so,
Especially as technology is always evolving.
yes. And not cheap in this, in terms of forensic tools,
Right.
because technology is always changing,
Yes.
so.
Okay, so for future agenda items, we have the re-examining the smoke shop ordinance.
for the-
Anything else? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. And would you like to second?
Yeah, so
Okay. All right, so first and a second, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And so we are adjourned at 5:34.
thank you, Joel.